All right, kids, here we are, another quick adventure. Well, this is actually going to be quick. A little bit of an update is that over the winter, Allie got a new job, or winter and spring, I guess. Allie got a new job, and so she didn't work at a school anymore, and that means that she doesn't have a bunch of weekdays to come hang out and do trails. So don't worry, her hilarity will return at some point. But today's a Tuesday, so a Tuesday if you're English. So today's a Tuesday, and she is working, and I am out at the Dominguez-Escalante Canyon again because last time we did this, there was too much snow, and I just kind of wanted to see where it was at right now, and maybe the upgrades will get me past any snow. We'll see what happens. Speaking of upgrades, I wanted to talk a little bit about what I've seen so far with gas mileage on the new tires and the Pro Cal 4 upgrade. Well, gas mileage and power. I think now, after having driven it a little bit, that it probably is a little bit faster even with the big tires. And the highway mileage I got driving from Rifle to Montrose was just a shade under 22 miles to the gallon. And I think that's pretty good. I want to say that on the old configuration I did maybe 23 or 24 on a good day, and so that feels like that's pretty acceptable. The power does feel a little bit better too. So anyway, so we're again at Dominguez-Escalante Canyon. This is just north of Delta, Colorado, maybe 10 minutes. And so that puts, I guess, 30 minutes from Grand Junction, south of Grand Junction on Highway 50. It's a really cool trail. It is rated a 3, which may be deceptively low. There are a couple spots that are a little tricky, and we're going to see how the newly configured Vestel Bronco handles that. So anyway, not quite on the trail yet. We're on the road leading to the trail, and it looks like we've got a trio of Jeeps in front of us. So we'll kind of see how that turns out. Can't really tell what they are. I don't know that much about Jeeps. There's a blue one, similar color to us, and a gray one. I think I saw a third one up front, which was maybe green. I don't know. Anyway, Jeeps are fun. We like you, Jeep. It's okay. It's a rivalry, but it's friendly. I consider it friendly. They're driving kind of slow, though. So the Jeeps decided to go the other way. There was a purple one, by the way, and they're from Texas. Ugh. I, however, am going to take the loop the back way, or the reverse way from what we've done it, and we'll kind of see how that goes. I think there's going to be a lot of downhill, but we'll see what happens. So just on again, I'm doing this reverse, and I'd kind of forgotten that on what is the first part of it now is, that's pretty rocky. I mean, I guess I knew that, but I'd forgotten how narrow parts of it are, but just parts, not like all of it. But there are parts that are kind of narrow, and given the way that some of the rocks are laid out, it feels a little tricky to get around or to get through a section that's a little bit narrow with some rocks in a spot that you don't necessarily want to. You want to make sure your tire placement's good, but also I'm finding that things that probably would have scraped us are definitely not a concern anymore, and so that's making a big difference in terms of that particular problem. So yeah, tire placement's still important, but it is already making a world of difference to have that greater ground clearance. So I went the wrong way. Pays to follow the map, I guess. But it was pretty good getting up that that bit. That was kind of cool. So we're gonna go back down and then actually get on the right trail. I thought it seemed a little weird, but anyway, I can't tell if these steps are gonna be challenged or not. They look maybe kind of high, I don't know, but we're gonna find out. So here we go. And the thing making me nervous is the sheer drop on the side, but I think it's going to be okay. Got past one. Two look like it's going to be a little harder. Yep. And three, well, we'll see. It's different going up these suckers than coming down from the last time. There we go. No problem. So I gave you a little taste of it on the action cam just a second ago, but there's this really long stretch right after the climb if you're taking this in reverse. And this long stretch is just, as you can see, is pretty flat. It's nice and open, so you can see who's coming, and man, you can open it up. I'm doing about too fast right now. Allie would be yelling at me. Man, this is where it gets fun. Like, you can really just open this sucker up and kind of see obviously some minor ruts and bumps and stuff, but it's pretty fun. Maybe some tiny jump opportunities. I really kind of saw one, but I wasn't going fast enough to get any air. So, but anyway, this is some of the fun stuff, right? So you get through this long, slow climb, which is kind of fun in its own way, and then you get to this, and you can just ride and really run your vehicle on this bit. Allie would be screaming, "You're scaring me!" and then immediately start laughing, because as scared as she is, she's also having a good time. Wish she was here. All right, so we made it through that pretty flat area. The vegetation started changing, which I think is one of the cool things about this trail is, you start out on either end of this basically in the desert. There's some scrub, sagebrush and stuff like that, and then you get a couple hours in. We're just short of 3 hours in, and that does count my wrong turn early on in the trail. And then you get to this, and you're basically in what you think of as Colorado forest, which is kind of out of place on this part of the western slope. We're still, not too far from Grand Junction and Montrose and so forth. And so, I don't know, I just think this is really cool. And here in the next couple miles or so, I'm probably going to find a spot to have some lunch, read a book for a while. So right now it's just a pretty easy dirt road. not too much to speak of other than the trees. I think basically all of the obstacles are behind us. There are a couple rough spots coming down the other side, but other than that, it's pretty easy stuff. So, like I said, we're gonna probably find a spot for. I say we like there's more than one of us. I'm gonna find a spot for lunch here, and we'll see you on the back side of the trail. I think we found our spot, and I say lunch, but really it's this bag of pistachios I got at Maverick, and a Celsius tropical vibe. That's lunch. So I didn't bring a spread or anything, so don't get too excited about that. Real lunch is later, here in a few hours when I'm in Grand Junction. I have an opportunity to get some Chick-fil-A, so I think I'm going to do that. So it started raining on me a little bit, and made the trail a little bit slick. Been sliding just a little bit more than I would have expected, because on the part just before this, it looked wet, but it didn't look wet enough to really slide me around. But it did, and so this part looks a little more wet. I guess because water's gathering in the ruts, but it wasn't doing that just behind me. I did pass the Jeeps coming the other direction, so they are on their way to what I consider the harder part of the trail. Lead Jeep said he felt like it was a little rougher than he was used to up here, and although he said it's been 3 years since he did it. And you can see I'm sliding. That's pretty crazy. So it has gotten a lot muckier, and so I'm hoping that I can control my descent a little bit when it comes to the difficult or the steeper, narrower parts of this. Right now it's kind of basically on the mesa. So we'll kind of see what happens. I don't imagine I'll get stuck because it's not that muddy or mucky, but it's certainly slippery. So we'll see what happens. Moo cows on the trail, lots of them. Well, 3 of them, 4 of them. Oh, more in the trees there, didn't see them. A couple up here. Gotta watch out for these calves because they're stupid. A couple more. Really all up and down this trail, even on some of the parts that you would think there might not be cattle, they're up there. They get to climbing pretty high, so. So kind of a tricky spot here, especially if it's going to be slippery. You don't want to have your tire placement jacked up by something getting slippery, but it seems like it could be all right. It's not too bad, just a little bit rocky. And with the extra ground clearance, I can't imagine it's going to be too big a problem, but see, I just slid right off that rock. And so that makes it a little extra difficult, but not too much. Made it down, no problems. But we'll see. I hope, like I said, I hope the narrower parts, if I fall off the trail here, I'm just potentially in the grass or in a bush. But farther down the line, you don't want to end up off of a cliff, obviously. So my tires look like that, and that's part of the slippage problem. Right up there, I kind of nearly slid right into that. Well, I did slide into that little divot there, and I was a little worried I was going to slide even farther. But we're going to get the shovel out and see if we can scrape off some of this mud and maybe help ourselves out. Okay, that mud is sticky as hell. I don't know that I did anything by shoveling it off, but it stopped raining. And it looks like we're kind of at the edge of the clouds here, so maybe down farther it will dry up and it'll make it easier going. But man, it is sticky. So, wow. Yeah, we'll continue on, I guess, because we don't have any other choice. And going back up it would not be very fun. So I think we're on the right end of this, but if there is a right end. So I would say that I'm past the muddy stuff. It's gotten quite a bit drier. I was able to get out and not pick up a bunch of mud on my feet. And I gotta tell you, as sticky as that stuff was, it sure, like, it stuck to everything. My shoes, my brake pedal, like everything is just covered in mud. So I got a big cleaning job to do. It actually was so sticky and mucky, it reminded me a lot of Hohenfels, the mud in Hohenfels. If anybody's ever been to Hohenfels and can't remember what it's called now. CMTC. You've been to CMTC, I don't know if it's called that anymore, at Hohenfels and Grafenwehr. That's what this mud reminded me of. And worse yet is washing that shit off of a tank. And when you're the lowest ranking dude on the tank, guess who gets to crawl into all the cracks and crevices with a shitty power washer to wash that stuff off? So I don't even think they gave us power washers. I think it was just a hose with like a spray head that didn't really even work all that well. So yeah, that's what it reminds me of. So if you've been there, you can probably relate. But as you can tell, it really is cool looking with the rain coming down in the distance. Colorado is just magnificent, isn't it? Can you believe they let us live here? All right, so it seems like maybe through the worst of it, but I was sliding all over the place. Looks like it's finally drying out just based on what's happening with my tire tracks. It just sucks you into, well, I'm still slipping a lot, but it sucks you into every single little rut. And you basically have zero control. I got in there once and to dig out some of the mud, and like it just totally covered up the springs and the upper control arm and everything. Like it was absolutely filled. So like I said, it looks like it's drying out a little bit, and I'm not one for mud anyway because you got to clean it, but that was a little hairy. I don't think I was ever really in any major danger of falling off, but man, it sure feels like it when you're sliding and you have no control. I mean, you have your wheel turned totally to the left and you're still sliding right. Can't get up out of the ruts or nothing, but it seems like it's drying out, so seems like it might be okay. Hopefully I can get down soon. I have some steps coming up here. Actually, no, it's just kind of rocky, but hopefully that'll scrape some of the mud off my tires a little bit. I feel like it's dried off a lot, and hopefully that'll mean we can get down this sucker safely. And this part here in particular is just, you know, so narrow that sliding would be a bad idea. It looks like it's fairly dry. Still a little bit of water on the trail, but mostly things are dry. And I'm getting close to the bottom, I think. And at that point, I'll be able to open things up a little bit more and fling off more of this mud. It's wild how sticky that stuff is. I've been in 4A for a minute, and I'm going to stay in 4A, but I think I'm going to get to this spot here that's not going to go so well in 4A. I might have to, well, maybe not. Maybe not. Looked like enough of a rut with some off-camber situation that it might have thrown me off, but it did not. The mighty Bronco took it. And it's a little slippery, like there's still some muddy spots, but mostly it's dry. You know, you never want to complain about rain in Colorado. In fact, I think if you're a Coloradan, if you ever complain about rain or snow for that matter, I think I think you need to turn in your Colorado card, because if nobody knows it, Arizona and California steal all the Colorado River water, and so it's dry enough here as it is, and so we just need as much water as possible. So if you have ever complained about it raining or snowing in Colorado, then turn in your Colorado card right now. Now, we'll say it could have picked a better day or time to rain on me. Made my life a little difficult, but I'm not complaining about the rain or the snow. Ever. Doesn't mean I always like it. I'm not going to complain. All right, so this spot's a little on the tricky side. It's kind of fun. Nothing real serious, but shouldn't have any struggles getting up it, but it's still kind of cool. Ew. Yo. Yos. Yes. 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 All right, everybody has to see how friggin' muddy this thing is, man. I have cleared out a ton of mud from the suspension and from the steering, and like, it's still on there. That's how sticky this stuff is. Pretty sure it gave me a death wobble, so I had to make sure I could stop, and like, my God, and this side's even worse. I don't know how this side is as bad as it is, but my goodness, there's a lot of friggin' mud caked on the bottom of this sucker. I'm gonna have to get her in and really give her a good wash. Goodness sakes.